Despite what you think, there are people that are smarter than you. So go out and find them. All right, welcome to the Field Famous podcast, brought to you by Field Routes, a show that shines a light on the field service industry and the dedicated professionals that grind every day on their journey to success. I am your host, Christopher Fasano. Before we begin, I just want to remind everybody listening, the best way to get new episodes of this show is to subscribe on your favorite pod player, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to a podcast, you will find this podcast. The show is also available in video format. So if you prefer to watch this, then rather just listen, you can go to YouTube and subscribe there. Again, the new videos will appear. You'll get them right when they come out. And last but not least, please leave us a review if you're loving the show. It'll help others see it and become field famous. Our guest for today's show is Amanda Ragar of Natural State Pest Control. Amanda, are you ready to be field famous?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, let's go. All right. So I always ask everybody to start the interview with just introducing yourself, where you are now in your business, and then we'll start with how you got into the industry. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, so we're located in Northwest Arkansas. It's actually in a small town called Lowell, but we cover all of the Northwest Arkansas region. Our company, Natural State Pest Control, started in 2016, and we've been pretty successful. We're up to $4 million in revenue right now, and we're just keep on going.
Keeping on rolling.
Yeah.
What is the climate like there? This is an American geography question, right? Because I don't really. So tell me about the climate.
Yes, well, we definitely do have 4 seasons.
Okay.
So it gets really hot in the summer. I mean, we had I would love for it to have been snow last week, but it was ice, very thick ice. So it gets really cold in the negatives. And then, beautiful fall and beautiful spring. So
it's funny you say that because I live in northern New York State, and it's just a couple degrees make the difference between ice and snow, and it changes the whole mood. You know, like if you get a big snowstorm, it's annoying, but it's snow and it's white and you go out, it's a thing. Ice,
it's beautiful.
Ice. It's there's nothing good about it. There's nothing fun about it. It's not pretty, right? It's like it makes your whole mood different.
You just slide all over the place.
Yeah, that's all it is.
I couldn't even I watched so many people bust it.
I know, it's an accident waiting to happen, and it's an accident.
Yes.
And I lived in Manhattan for a while, where everyone's walking, and it was just this thing amongst New Yorkers. Like when people would just eat it and bite it from the ice, you go over, are you all right? And then you laugh, like it's okay as long as you check first if they're okay.
Yes.
Then you can, as they're going like this. All right. So tell me about, because one of the things I like to say about the show is for me, and I think in life, the good way to learn about where to go is to hear how people went and how their journey was. So tell us how you got into the broader industry, because I know it's not where you are now.
Yeah. So my husband and I used to have a Scott's lawn service franchise that we started back in 2005. And we, grew the company up until the True Green Scott's Lawn Service buyout, and it triggered our buyout, and we were forced to sell. It did work to our advantage because we were the largest Scott's. We were bigger than our True Green franchise in our market, but we, instead of sulking and
what are we going to do now?
About it. What are we going to do now? It's like, well, my husband and I were pretty young, so we were like, we have a 3-year non-compete. We had some great advice from some mentors in the pest control industry. We work with a phenomenal accounting company, PCO bookkeeping. And we, with some just friends in the industry, we're like, all right, we'll get into pest control. We'll do this. And so we took some of our key people that helped us build our company in Scott's. We just moved into pest control, and we really didn't know what we were doing.
Right,
in pest
that's what I was
control.
going to ask. What? And this is something I want to ask you about, similarities and differences. But when you got in, when you took on the Scots and you got in the franchise, you weren't in that space before. This was your first foray into some sort of field or home service.
Yeah, we started trying to dabble in it a little bit towards the end of Scott's, because Scott's Scott's corporate was trying to do, with pest. But we really had no experience. We started dabbling in it towards the end, but we really had no clue what we were doing. And then we realized very quickly we needed to hire people who were that were smarter than us as far as the industry. My husband and I know how to run a business and operate a business, but we may not know.
Right. But you're smart enough to know where you're not smart. I always say that's like a big thing. Like the smartest person knows when they're not smart, right? And when you think you're smart at everything, you're not really a smart person. Like I've always said that about people, you know, and if you have the smartest people in the room and they're just in the room and you're not listening to them, they're just smart people in the room. So like that's a good lesson to learn.
Yes. I mean, it's even right now, it's like there's so much social media and all the TikTok and everything. And I'm like, I mean, I know Facebook, but I mean, my 14-year-old daughter could probably create a video better than
definitely
us.
can.
So I mean, like, okay, we need to, you know, that was an area that we wanted to focus on. We're like, we're going to hire somebody who is better than us, because I don't want to sit there and make little posts on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and every other social media out there.
I know.
We just hired somebody better than us.
Exactly. So when you were at Scott's within a franchise, there were some constraints, I imagine, but you could still grow your business as long as you could feed it, right? But you had to live within certain constraints, even if you saw opportunities. Am I getting that right?
Yes. I mean, yes. We, we had a very good relationship with Scott's Lawn Service. And so my husband and I are kind of a by the book follower, which, they allowed us a lot of opportunities. It helped us out in the end.
Okay.
But we were approached by when everyone knew we were exiting the business, we were approached by two major pest control companies about, franchising with them or even taking a corporately owned location and they wanted to give it to us to become a franchise. They wanted to, and I'm like, well, that's great and all, but why do I want to do that when y'all are going to be putting me back into a predetermined buyout again?
Correct.
And if you're familiar with the pest control industry, the companies are selling.
Yeah, they are.
At a very high multiple that are successful companies. Correct. I would say the successful growth companies are selling at a very high multiple. So I'm like, why do I want to have somebody else determine what my buyout would be on the next company? And,
so then that was another sort of impetus, we're just going to try to do this. Tell me a little bit about the constraint around whatever you can tell me about. You didn't move, you were in the same area. Correct.
Yes.
So you had some sort of non-compete, but was it industry specific? So it was like you couldn't do lawn or the customers?
It's industry specific. So we could not do lawn.
Okay. But it wasn't like you can't have this house or something like that, because that'd be aggressive, right? You can serve the same house with a different service.
Well, I will tell you, there was a point where they tried to limit the radius and
I was going to say
of where we could operate, and I'm like, well, that's not really an option, just because we just bought a building down the street.
Right, exactly.
So in the at the very end, because the building that houses True Green in our area, my husband and I actually own it, so we're their landlord.
Okay.
I will tell you though, the True Green location here, we have a very good relationship. Their GM is a top-notch guy, and we still have a very good working relationship with them. So it's a good thing.
Well, that's a great thing. I'm never for any sort of. I always try to maintain, right? Because you never know.
Yes.
You just never know.
Yes, you just never know what's going to happen down the road.
Right.
I mean,
and especially when you're in a similar business model, and you're in it, so you never know. But you get in there, you get going in pest. You recognize you need some things that you might not understand 100%. You do all of that. And you were able to successfully grow and scale it. Tell me about some of the things you learned along the way that were different than what you were doing in lawn, or maybe there were more opportunities in pests. Tell me a little about that experience on the difference.
Yeah. So, we definitely did. In lawn care, we were with a different software provider, and then we felt like it wasn't a good fit for pest control. So we were, we have to get a whole new software, program to help operate pests. Cause I just felt like in the company that we're using before is just not a good fit. And, we built our business on door knocking when we were in lawn care. Okay. So that was a great natural. So, we actually used field routes for our pest control software. And, they have, with field routes, there's a program, a great door knocking, a software piece of the program that is a great door knocking program. So it was a natural fit for us to slide in. And, that's how we initially started our pest control business. We really grew based on door to door.
Okay.
And then,
which is how you started, you said, in lawn. So you used that same sort of tenet in some way.
Yeah.
Not start, but that was a part of what your strategy was.
It was a huge part. We used to do, solely direct mail back in the early days of the lawn care industry. And then at one point in time, that we sent out like 15 to 20 grand worth of door hangers direct mail, and we got like a little to no response.
Yeah.
That was a very stressful time. And we literally we're
like, we're going out.
My husband we're going to go out. We're going to buy a van and we're going to put guys in it and we're going to go out and door knock. Cause, when my husband was in college, he actually did a door-to-door sales team. He ran a door-to-door sales team for our local newspaper. So he did know how to door knock.
Okay.
So that's how we kind of took that platform and moved it into, lawn care.
Okay.
So we were doing that in our area. And then we transitioned it when we came to pest. Now, back when COVID hit,
right.
Obviously there was no more door knocking
coming to the door, right?
So we had to reinvent that, and we had started doing other things leading up to that, because we were like, gosh, door to door can be really expensive. We need to find other avenues. Really, truly, in marketing, you need to be in everywhere. I mean, we don't necessarily do door to door, and I could tell you because there's a lot of companies that have moved into our area that are very good at door to door, and we just aren't as good as them. So we need to just say, take our
once
losses.
Again, recognizing what you're good at.
Once again, recognize what we're doing and figure out how we're going to get business elsewhere, because we're just not as good as they are.
It's a good common theme for this episode now. Is just recognize what you're good at and go with
recognize it. Okay, we're failing here. Let's redirect and find something else. We have to, and I really feel like you always are going to have to reinvent something. You're always going to have to grow. If you stay doing the same thing, people are going to start following you. They're going to start copying you, and you got to do something different to set yourself apart. So, door
knocking is such an interesting thing. So, because I feel like, when I look at this like psychologically, I think it's super hard. You got to find the right people who are able to do. That's a skill. You can't just go up to someone's home and be like, "Hey, I'm here." Like, you need to be able to do that. But if this might sound odd. People remember that's obvious, Chris. No, I mean this. Like, there's something different about someone selling you something in person when you're in your home or in front of your home. Something is going on there. It's about your home. It's harder to say no sometimes. So I feel like it could be. But like you're saying, you can't just send random people out and do that. So this is not currently part of your strategy right now. You're saying this is not currently part of your big, or at least a big part of your strategy.
Yeah. I mean, we've thought about going back in lawn care, since we, our non-compete is up with pest, in the lawn division. We can go back into lawns. We have started doing it a little bit last year, but as a lot of people know, the product cost for fertilizer was astronomical. And so we're like, well, why do I want to do that? We'll just sit back and wait. We don't really have to get back into lawn care, but we will if opportunity comes. And then, people have been asking us to get back into the industry, like in our area. So we're starting to dabble in it, but we're still going to be strictly a pest control company that offers lawn care.
So
we're doing that
in a geographical area where there are winters, right? And it gets cold. What lawn is not growing? So am I right? I'm making that assumption where you are. There's a season where you're not treating in lawn. So
it is year round.
Is it? Okay.
Just because we have to get our pre-emergent treatments down.
Okay. So you are out. It's not, is it slow? Where I'm going with this is how it compares to pest control.
It is slower. Yes. Okay. Yeah, pest control is more a year-round business.
Okay.
The one thing, piece of our company, when we did have the lawn care franchise with Scott's, we actually also own a Christmas decor franchise. So we did Christmas lighting.
I'm hearing so much about this. You guys were well ahead of this, because this is a thing now.
So we did that. It was when we started Scott's, it was back in 2005. And then we were like, oh gosh, how are we going to pay our people in the winter? And then we got into Christmas lights with Christmas decor, which is a fantastic franchise system. They offer lots of support. And we've been with them since I think it's been 15 years since we've been doing decorating homes, maybe longer. I think maybe 17. I have to do them. I can't even think about how many.
So there are a good chunk of people that do this, that have people do this sort of decor. It's outdoor, it's indoor.
We specifically we pretty much do outdoor. We've done a couple of inside commercial jobs, but that's when I have to get really involved in it. And I don't really,
you don't really want.
We need to stick with our core elements of design when we do that. And it's just like, here it is. Here's our packages. It's streamlined. We need to keep it streamlined. But we had Christmas decor because, in lawn care, the season does die. And we were the only company in our area that did not let their employees go. So we kept all of our employees on all year round.
Wow.
And we were the only company that could offer that in our area. Then when we got into pest control, it was more, we still needed that business because we were so small.
Right.
And we needed that cash flow to come in. So we kept Christmas decor, but when we sold Scott's. And then now pest control has gotten a lot larger and it is year round. So now we're having to balance that out. So we're adding, lawn care back so that, okay, we can still.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's the evolution. It's how
the evolution.
It's how you grow. And so what I want to ask is about the growth. So you said when you started where you are now, I'm wondering if you can look back and pinpoint a time or something where you really saw yourself sort of go. Was it like you said, like you had a start. So you were just like, you were new, you had you found cash flow, you're growing. Did you see that somewhere it's just sort of hit and took, or was it a steady growth throughout the way and that's how you preferred it to happen?
I will tell you, we were a lot slower growth with lawn care because my husband and I were so young. It's funny. It was always a joke in the Scott's Lawn Service world when they used to joke about it at all the franchise meetings. They would be like, well, Trent and Amanda, how did they end up getting a franchise? How did they get one? They were so young and they looked at us. Oh, my lights just went off. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
They were like, well, it was Arkansas. We had nothing to lose. They literally joke about that.
That's
he's
funny.
like, whatever.
They wanted it there, so we're like, sure.
They want it there. We have nothing to lose. Let them try it out and see how it works. And we ended up being, when we sold, I think we were one of their largest franchises in their network.
See how that works. So, now you have that experience to draw on. And so your growth model, or did you come in there and say, I imagine you said, we can do some of these things similarly, but we have to do some things differently. You had something to draw from in your new business.
Yes. Yeah. Well, with Scott's, we were a lot slower growing, and it's crazy now because, we started in 2005 with Scott's, and then in 2016 we sold, and that's when we started Natural State. And we knew what we were doing better, obviously, this time around, the second time around. So we're actually now, I think we were at the same growth when we sold Scott's. We were in like half the time. So.
Okay. All right. And you attribute that just to the business, like if you look, you're talking about a rate of growth. So is it there more opportunity available to you in this industry, or is it a combination of you're just better at it? Like I think
we're just better at it. I just think we just are better at it. I mean, I will tell you, we poured tons of money into marketing. I mean, everything we got from Scott's, we literally have put right back into this company. So we have, if you looked at our reporting, I mean, our accountant's like, wow, that's a lot spent on marketing, but hey, your growth is there. So, keep on going.
It's funny you saying that because before, I mean, this marketing is what I do. And before being at Field Routes, I did marketing for pest control companies at an agency. And they would always say, they would come at me with some crazy growth numbers. And they'd say, look, I want to do 40% this year. And I said, great. Tell me why you think you can do 40%. And you get these reasons. And I say, okay, how much are you willing to invest to get to 40%? And they would say like, well, I only really want to spend a couple percent of the revenue. And I'm saying, there's just no, like, so you have to be willing, like you're saying, you're pouring money in, but if you really have the desire to grow and you have the infrastructure to support the scale, you invest, you can get that return, but you have to really be willing to do that to get that growth.
I mean, but it's not even if you spend a lot of the money, you still have to be like, okay, once you get that business, you got to make sure you service it too. So you have to make sure too that you have people in place. Yeah. So that is another little thing you have to try to balance.
While we're talking, before we forget about the marketing tactics, I'm wondering, did you find something that really, really, you were using a combination of things? Did you find that being out in the digital space was really what pushed it? Is that?
Yes. Yeah. I will tell you. Yeah. So there was a combination, and we started out growing with door to door, and we were getting into this space, into the digital space, but that actually takes time. That actually takes time, like getting out there. You're not going to you can't just throw a bunch of money and magically you're popping up there. Right. We did a lot of Google reviews. Yep. Google local services. Also, we probably were one of the first people in our area that got approved on the Google local services.
Then that's top huge. Real estate, right? Because that's where
top real estate.
That's what you want.
And then and
then
a lot of our
I feel like it
customer
becomes feed
reviews.
forward, right? Like what happens is,
Yes.
for everybody out there that's maybe new, I mean, I think more established companies know this, but that those reviews feed into everything. And the more you
Yes,
build the
they do.
reviews up, the better you're going to
Yeah.
place in your GLS, the more, like, because Google's all connected. And so if you have 1,000 reviews, making that number up, and you appear to be knowledgeable in services.
Over 2,000.
Over
Chris. We have
2,000.
over
Sorry,
2,000.
let's get it right. If you have over 2,000 reviews,
we work hard for every
give
one
me
of those.
every single review. For 2,000
Yes.
reviews, any computer, Google or human would look at that and say, these people know what they're doing, or they've been around and they're doing it. And so Google obviously is going to give preference to something like that. So that's what I always say. It's all connected. And once you go, it starts to become feed forward, right? So I imagine that's where you can really see the growth.
And you're going to have both good and negative reviews. I feel like you just need to make sure that, we always try to make sure to respond to those good reviews, whether good or negative. I think if everyone had 1 million 5-star reviews, you're going to look like a fake company.
Yep.
But then also people are going to look to be like, well, you're not, because you're not going to make everybody happy. I mean, it's just not possible. But then how did they handle those negative responses? Did they attack that customer or how did they handle it? So it's also, is important on how you respond to those negative reviews.
So true. And people would ask me like, what should I do about this? I get this crazy 1-star review. And I'd say, you know what, better off that way because
you're going to get them.
What, as long as you're responding, you're going to look like a real company, Amazon. On Amazon, those are a lot of fake reviews and a lot of purchased reviews. But in this game, it's sometimes nice to see them because it'll become very clear. It'll become so clear very quickly that wasn't a real experience of that company, right? Because it's so outweighed by all the other good ones.
Yes.
So like, I mean, don't stress out. I mean, if it's consistently getting a 1-star review, you have a problem. But if it's the one-off, you leave it and you respond to it carefully. Do you have someone monitoring that on a daily? Do you have someone dedicated to that? You do.
Yes, we do have somebody who's constantly watching that. We utilize a program called Podium, but there's several other ones out there.
Yeah.
So we want to make it very easy for our customers to contact our company. So you can go to our website. You can type a message to the website. You can go to Google and you can contact right there. You can call from there. You can text from there. I mean, we have a person who literally just sits there and just responds to text messages from customers. I mean, we make so many sales just from
but it's
customer
a speed
texting
game,
in.
right?
It's a speed game. And this is pest control. Somebody has ants in their kitchen. Get those out of my kitchen.
Correct. It's so true. It's so true. And what my background is in neuroscience and sort of the neuroscience of looking at choice and stuff. And so I always said, like, in fact, you submitted a talk. I submitted the talk for Pest World, so we'll see what happens about this. But the concept of fear, when you have the pest control, this sale is one of the most primed sales because the person most of the time is calling in an emotional with a problem that's emotional. Like you're saying, it's there's ants in my kitchen, there's cockroaches in my house, there's a rodent in my basement. Like you are very maybe afraid or heightened, and so you're just looking for somebody to say, no problem, I'll take care of that. So right. So that sale is ready. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, the difference between lawn care and pest control is a need. Lawn care is more of a luxury. Right. I feel like people are annoyed sometimes that they're having to pay money to keep their lawn up. But you have bugs in somebody's house, get them out. Like they want out. They're like, it's more of a need. Correct. And you're solving somebody's problem where you're not necessarily solving a person's problem in lawn care. The only problem is they don't want their POA calling them because they have weeds in their lawn. And they,
Right. Well, so with one of the things about pest control along this line of need that I would always think about and talk to the companies that I work with about was the recurring revenue situation and how you can try to shift and get homeowners, in this case with residential, to think that this problem is, and I've talked about this with a lot of guests. In fact, I love getting people's takes on this because it's really important for someone in their business. How do you get someone to think about pest control as a recurring problem and not just a reactive problem? Like we were just talking about, there's ants in my kitchen. Well, you see them, right? And so now you're calling. But what we would rather is have somebody pay all year round to keep things at bay throughout the year, so it's more proactive and less reactive. So I'm assuming you have a recurring revenue subscription model.
Absolutely.
So can you talk about a little bit your efforts there? Because that's a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, recurring revenue is pretty much what we as a company want. If you want to just sell your company down the road, you're going to get a lower value for just
one-timers. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and plus, I feel like the one-time customers, when somebody calls in for a one-time treatment, you're usually going back out there for another extra time.
Correct.
And it is super annoying. So really and truly, we don't even want that business. So we're just trying to price them out of it. We're like, okay, you can pay this price for a one-time treatment, or you could be on our monthly billing subscription. So you could be paying, here's our monthly, we come out, we're a triannual company, so we aren't quarterly. We're actually triannual.
Okay.
But we do offer free service calls. But, here's the initial price. And hey, for $39 a month, we'll come out and we, take care of all your pest control. And, it's a monthly subscription. But we try to do a monthly billing. It's more of a budget payment for those customers. And it works out better for them because if we're pricing our one-time treatments for $245 or whatever, I mean, you pay for that twice, you can have a whole year of pest control coverage.
Right. So you coming out up front and saying that, to me, when I hear that, it makes me think almost, okay, well, why would I do that? It almost seems like a logical thing for me to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can, you can have a pest-free environment. I mean, we offer free service calls. We'll come out, we'll take care of it. And, you just have to call us. And with our company, if you call us before noon, we offer same-day service.
Okay. And so have you looked at, I don't know how much you're in that data. I imagine you're looking at churn and you're looking at things like that. Do you find that there are unique periods of time in a contract, maybe if it's an annual, where I'm going with this is like it plays into your marketing. Like I always tell people, if there's a common place or time where people seem to be ready to churn or leave, then you can implement a proactive marketing measure, whether it's a communication or a text or to help them. No, can't. So have you looked at that and have you identified any themes?
I mean, I definitely feel like that's an area where we can improve upon is certain times of the year, like maybe they don't want to keep paying for their monthly yard defense because there's not a mosquito pressure at the time. But, we try to just keep it. I mean, well, if they try to sign back up, they still have to pay an initial fee to get signed back up on it. But we just try to explain going in the very beginning that this is a monthly contract. But, I mean, you're going to have, right now, there's a lot of concerns with this whole upcoming recession and pricing. There's a lot of pressures with rising prices with interest rates and stuff. I mean, you're going to have that regardless because pest control is going to be one of those things that you cut out, but you hope to win them back. We always do. We have incentives to try to keep them on, and then we have our inside sales team who will call and follow up on the cancels, try to get them back on. It's harder you want to keep those customers.
It's harder to get them back.
It's harder to get them back, but it's also costs a lot more to get a new one.
Correct.
So we really do want to try to keep them as customers. But
so the last little part of this, I want to understand a little bit about when you start a company and you're growing, you grow a certain way and you do it a certain way. When you get to be a bit bigger, where you are right now, 25 or 20% growth on a bigger number is a bigger number, right? So the challenge to maintain growth when you grow is the numbers get bigger. So I'm wondering, as you look forward, what has your growth strategy changed any bit? Are you looking more towards efficiency and margins and growing bottom? Tell me a little about that strategy.
We're definitely trying to, focus more on the bottom line, and, where we can cut costs. I mean, for instance, with marketing, we have a huge budget on our online, marketing spend, and, Google, I feel, doesn't necessarily recognize service industries as far as, they're more of location based. How do I phrase this as? So like, if it says pest control near me, it's going to pull, we might service another town. We may not pull up in the higher rankings, but we're having to spend more money on our paid ads to get those leads.
Yes.
So that's a challenge. So we are now looking at maybe putting a small office in these locations because Google is looking at,
Right.
locations
Proximity.
near me.
They look at proximity, right.
And so now, man, this afternoon, I have an appointment
See?
with a realtor to go look. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not even, it's frustrating because it's like, man, this is like only 30 minutes away from us. So we're going to put an office 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but if I put a satellite office 30 minutes away, how is that going to affect my Google spend? Because I can then capitalize on pest control near me. I might not have to spend as much money in that area.
Right, because you gotta force your way into the auction.
We're forcing our way. We're forcing our way in the option. So I mean, we're gonna try it and see. We're gonna look at the numbers and see how it works. And but we also do want to grow into other markets too. So
okay, all right. So tell me about the new market assessment. I've talked to people about that. When you look at everything and you say, okay, I think we can do that. Is it a collective decision? Is it like, obviously you're looking at competition there, the demand, you're looking at everything, your staffing, your route, like you have to look at all of that. And what is your final determination? Is it a dollar amount? Do you do calculation and say, I think we can wedge in here?
Yeah, that's more probably my husband's area.
Sorry,
you
that's
do
okay.
look at. I know. I don't. I'm more of the numbers where I'm like, no, you're not going to go there, because I need to see. We also feel like it's very important that we make sure for the first couple of years of that location, we are going to be this location is going to be paying for that location. So you need to make sure you're financially
That's
ready.
correct. Right.
So
because even if the potential is there, you still got to got to grow in there. Yeah. And you're going to have to put that spend, like you're saying, a lot more there because you have no presence really there yet. Right. So you really have to build that. Right.
So, I definitely feel like you need to look at, the income, of the area and look at just
like, can it support the subscriptions and the things that you're going to do?
We're offering. Yeah.
Right.
So, because I feel like within our area, we have a little bit of a unique bubble within Arkansas. We have some huge companies in our area like Walmart, Tyson, JB Hunt. So, people in our area are maybe more fluent than other areas that we're looking at. So, and also pest pressures too, in certain areas. So you have to take a look at all of that.
It's a complete, it's not just something like, we should go over here and we should go for it. I imagine there's a lot more to it than that.
Yes.
If I'm listening
and having the staff that, staff,
you have to be able to, like you said, you have to be able to, you can do anything you want and everybody can find you when they type in pest near me, but if you can't go out and service them, then you can't do anything. If I'm listening to this and I'm saying to myself, okay, people find themselves in a situation where maybe you were twice, where you were starting something and you were trying to figure it out when you were at Scott's, then you went to Pest, and you had a different baseline then because you had some experience. What do you think you can say to those, just some quick things about like two things or one real main important thing that looking back that this is one of the more important things for you to focus on at an early stage? What should you really try to build from that beginning piece?
If you're starting out, when my husband and I started out in Scott's, it was just him and one truck. He bought a truck and, I definitely feel that it's hard for, I actually was talking to somebody earlier this week about how do they get out from being the mom and pop? Like, how do I take that next step? And I really feel like as an owner, you have to, or my husband's big status, I still probably am more involved in the daily grind than he is, but you have to start hiring people who are better than you. And then you can focus on the things that can help grow your company. You can focus on the things that will help bring in the sales and bring in the marketing. 'Cause you can't, if you're trying to grow and you're trying to also treat a lawn or treat pest control, you're never going to grow. You're just never, you have to get out of the field and focus on what's going to help build that company. And then you just slowly do it. And then you hand that task over to somebody else and then
delegate.
You just delegate. And getting tasks and just, but then sometimes we have to step back in if you see things that aren't going right the way you want it to go. You have to step back in.
That's the way it goes. But like, I feel like that's one of the hardest, especially with an entrepreneur or somebody that's really a hustler and wants to grow. It's really difficult to just be like, okay, I'm going to let you take that over, and do it. It could be really
it can be really, you really have to pick the right person. You really have to find somebody that you trust, that you can be like, okay, this is, exactly what to do. And this is your job, but you have to hold those people accountable too. So, and
I feel like this is the crux of this episode, which is, you got to find people that are smarter and better than you. And if you can keep adding those people to your team, you're going to be all right. You are going to be all right as long as you can empower them and give them that ability to do what they do. Like I always say, find someone who does something great and let them do what they do. Now, there are guardrails, and when they don't, you step in and you hold them accountable. But you just let that person go and do what they do, and that's how it should go.
And we don't want to necessarily micromanage our employees. Right. We just want them to do their job.
Correct.
And if they don't do their job, I mean, we'll find somebody who can do it better.
Exactly. And yes, it's exactly right. But empower somebody, trust them, and just let them know that if that doesn't go work the way, this is what's going to happen if you don't do it. And that's the final piece I think that we always have to have.
Yes. And we have learning curves all the time.
Of course. Of course.
We always joke that even my husband gives second, third, and fourth chances because we really like people. We just want, and people are going to mess up. People are going to, and you just have to give them chances and it's life.
This is how it works. As long as they're willing to work, I always say they're willing to work hard and keep going at it, and they're good people. Right, that matters. Yes. So I was talking to another guest who was like, he does manager training, and he'll say like, if your people are good and you can be compassionate to your people, they will stay. Right, they will be with you, absolutely. And that's what you want. You do not want a business where people are bailing and leaving because of the people. Yes. You want to build a place where people say, you know what, or they have friends that say like, do you have anything available where you're working, because they want to be in that environment that you're promoting. Right, it really matters.
And they also want to be in an environment where they're happy. And I feel like we really want to create a nice family team environment. We want to have fun. We do a lot of fun things in our office. I mean, we've actually gone on fishing trips and taken all of our employees and had fishing guides and rented big cabins and lodges and had a big weekend of it. Right. And that's great. It's team building too. Correct. And it's a lot of fun. And we're always looking for that. We had a huge Top Gun contest last year because, around the movie Top Gun, and we rented out at the movie theater and right at the beginning when Top Gun came out, and we watched it as a team. It was fun.
That's what's up. That's great. I mean, because we
do a lot of fun things.
People are, people's work is more than half their day, more than half their life is at their job and at work. So you really need to make sure that place is a place where they're going to feel good about going and being with those people. Because if it's that, I can't, that's not sustainable, and you can't scale a business when you have an environment like that. It's just not going to work, or it's going to be too much work because you're going to have to constantly be finding people all the time, and no one wants that, especially in this game. No one wants that.
Yes. Yeah. And then we also have a big presence. My husband and I are very passionate about giving back to the community. Oh, there goes that light again.
Is it like it's like a time sensor light?
It is a time sensor. We have that on all of our lights in our building. But we are very passionate about giving back to our community. So we do that. We do a lot of stuff in our community to do that. Especially we don't really enjoy doing bed bug treatments. I mean, I don't really enjoy it, but it helps so many people. We do a lot with all the different shelters, different nonprofits in the community, and we give a lot back. We even have our 12 days of Pestmas where people can write in, and they may not be able to afford certain services.
That's great.
12 days of Pestmas. We have it at Christmas.
That's great.
And you can write in, and we pick 12 people, and it might be a free bed bug or German roach or something that they can't afford. We have a lot of local agencies that work the schools that, their families, they just are in a difficult situation with different pest pressures, and we'll go back and we do a lot in the community for that.
That is awesome.
If somebody can't afford it and we evaluate the situation, we'll just go do it for free.
That's great. I mean, it's like you said, I talk to a lot of people in this industry, and especially in pest, and they'll say, we genuinely help people. I don't think a lot of times, if you think people, the average person would think about pest control and they think bugs, but it's more than that. You can change, literally can change the life of somebody that's having a problem in their home. 100%. That's just really not good. It's not just defeating. It's just not a gross and nasty thing. It could be unhealthy, but it's just it makes you emotionally. It's just you know what I mean? It's a whole thing. Yes, I don't think people really think that way sometimes.
And that's the one thing that sets pest control apart from lawn care, is that we can do so much in our community to help other people, and which is why we want to be a pest control company that may offer lawn care, but we just feel that pest control.
This is the thing.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is where
Yeah.
we are. We
Yeah.
are more passionate. We can help
Yeah.
people and do a lot to help others. So.
Well, it's an awesome story, which is why I was really excited to talk to you about it. And I want to thank you for coming on the show and doing this. And just want to remind everybody out there that's listening to check out BeFieldFamous.com. If you want to find out more information on this show, you can subscribe on all the pod players, Apple Podcasts. Remember, your success is fame worthy. So come tell your story. Amanda, thanks for coming to tell your story on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it. And tell your husband I say hello. And nice to meet him through interview. And we'll take care. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds good.
Right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.